And these things that they call freak-offs were not freak-offs. They were probably extreme trafficking. I mean, I know all these are just the allegations at the moment, and what he's been arrested for is trafficking, drug charges, gun charges, and they're only charges. He's not convictions.
Sure.
And he denies everything, obviously. But then you have all the civil lawsuits that are taking place in tandem to the criminal charges. And so over the last month, he's had 20 new civil cases. Oh, there's a minimum of 120, and it's all led by this guy called Tony Busby. Now, Tony Busby is a very hardcore lawyer. And even though he comes over as very attention-seeking, I know people who know Tony Busby, and they said that when he finally filed his charge against Jay-Z last week, he would not have done that if he didn't have solid evidence, right? That's the kind of guy Tony Busby is, which is why he hasn't come through with the rest of all of them. And he's just started with these 20. And so we have these 20 that are making very serious allegations against Puffy, saying that they were being trafficked by him, that the 1,500 bottles of baby oil that were taken by the police was not actually baby oil. There were relaxants in there that people were being put on people's skin. It was relaxing their body, and then they were being, attacked and assaulted and waking up in stages of disarray. And part of the problem for this, Andrew, is that there's been such an issue for gay men, and particularly black gay men. It's been a no-no, and I knew that in hip-hop. I actually, in the 90s, I remember writing a piece about how a lot of black men were having to hide the fact that they were gay because it was frowned upon hugely. You couldn't be a gangster rapper and be gay. So that's part of the problem, that some gay men were forced underground. But it is also a problem that amongst decent gay men, there are also these predators who have mingled them. I'm sure that reminds you of something else. It's like going under an umbrella, right? And everybody coming together under one sort of umbrella, and you get bad people hidden amongst that. And so these allegations are that people were being given drinks that contained all manner of sedatives, and they were waking up and they'd been abused, and, women were put on tables, and people were eating food off of them, and children were on tables to be selected by the party goers.
Oh my God.
These are all the allegations that are taking place. Now, you've got to bear in mind who were at these white parties. Incredibly famous people.
What does white party mean?
Well, that's what he used to call it, because they all used to dress in white.
Oh, I see.
Right? They also used to dress in white in the Hamptons, and that was part of it. And
so Jay-Z.
Jay-Z actually wasn't as big a party goer at the white parties as, say, somebody like an Ashton Kutcher, for example.
Why is he always popping up? Ashton Kutcher, I didn't know that.
It's so curious, isn't it?
God.
And do you remember when Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis, they did that whole big thing, didn't they?
About Danny Masterson.
That's right, absolutely.
For anyone who doesn't know, that's the Scientologist Danny Masterson, who was with Ashton Kutcher in that 70s show, the sitcom. And that was my old field. I did all the Scientology stuff, and that was mad when that came out. And they came out and basically defended him.
Yeah.
When it was very clear that he had done these things. He's now gone to prison for life.
Right.
And then they released a weird sort of apology video that it was just odd and scripted.
Right.
And it's bizarre.
Right. So again, we're making no allegations against Ashton Kutcher. We simply don't know, but we do know they were very good friends with Diddy. We do know that. And I think the latest charge against Jay-Z is very interesting, because it's actually somebody who's already taken out a lawsuit against Diddy. And what's happened in the last week is they've added Jay-Z to it. Oh. And so my contact, when I said that looks iffy, that they've now added it, and that's when I ended up having the conversation about Tony Busby, because my contact said no. Tony Busby had that information on Jay-Z back in September, but hasn't used it until now, until he got the information and evidence he needed in order to be able to pursue it. And what happened, by the way, when Jay-Z got that lawsuit? So we heard about it on the Sunday. On the Monday, Jay-Z and Beyonce and their daughter Blue Ivy were due on the red carpet for the Mufasa film, of which Blue Ivy has voiced one of the lead characters.
I wonder how she got that job.
I know. I mean, how possibly could she have got that job, right?
Yeah.
But what was curious was, first of all, they were not going to do the red carpet because it was too much. Obviously, you've just been accused of this. You've been accused of this with a 13-year-old child, and you're going to go on the red carpet with your 12-year-old child. So they decided to actually face off Now, anybody can Google this. What did they do? They dressed up their 12-year-old in an absolute revealing dress. Blue Ivy is 12 years old, and she was in a cleavage-popping dress on the red carpet after her dad has just been accused of very serious assault on a child of her age.
It's not a good PR look. They must have Meghan Markle's PR people.
Appalling optics. But does it tell us something more? So there was Beyonce and Jay-Z and Blue Ivy on the red carpet with both Beyonce and Blue Ivy with matching cleavages and, breasts popping out. Over. This 12-year-old literally has breasts spilling over her dress. This is obscene. This is child sexualization. And your father has just received a lawsuit last night. So were they using it as distraction, or have they become so protected in who they are and people aren't telling them, come on now, you shouldn't do this, that they just went out as they are? This is how they behave normally. Do you see what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. Gosh, we're going to have to get you back on to discuss way more of these. There's so much to cover.